Welcome back, everyone. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today for an explainer that is going to completely change how you look at a very common everyday item. We're going to take a brief but honestly mind-blowing journey that spans thousands of years, all based on a pretty startling archaeological reality. Okay, let's dive into this. Today, we are exploring the immortal pantry, a honey explainer.
So, let me ask you a question. Would you ever dare to eat food discovered inside an ancient tomb? Seriously, just think about that for a second. If someone handed you a jar of something that had literally been sitting in the dark for millennia, right next to a pharaoh, would you take a bite? Usually our gut instinct with old food is just immediate disgust, right? I mean, we check expiration dates if a carton of milk has been in the fridge for a single week. But today's source material flips that entire concept completely on its head.
Section 1. Unearthing Ancient Egyptian Tombs. Just imagine the scene for a moment. Picture the dust, the heavy weight of history, the sheer suspense of stepping into a space that has been completely sealed off from the rest of the world for thousands upon thousands of years. Think about those massive stone structures, the shifting sands outside, and the absolute stillness inside those ancient Egyptian tombs. When researchers carefully pry open these spaces, they aren't just looking for gold or jewels or monumental architecture. They're actually uncovering the everyday items that were deliberately left behind to sustain the departed in the afterlife. Because the ancient Egyptians believed they needed practical provisions for eternity, their tombs were essentially equipped like these lavish long-term pantries. And among those seemingly mundane provisions, archaeologists made a truly mind-bending discovery that changes our whole perspective on food preservation.
Let's move to and see how this builds into an extraordinary historical revelation. First, archaeologists excavate these tombs, doing that painstaking, meticulous work of unearthing human history. But the treasures they find aren't always metallic and shiny. Step 2. Sometimes, right there, among the ornate artifacts and sarcophagi, they find simple, unassuming pots of honey. And the ultimate twist? Step 3. The honey is safe to eat. They are unearthing a food product that isn't just recognizable as honey, but is actually entirely edible after centuries upon centuries of just sitting in the dark. It's a remarkable sequence of events that takes an everyday condiment and elevates it into a literal archaeological marvel.
Section 2. Still safe to eat.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is a phrase extracted straight from the source text that should, by all logic, be entirely impossible for an organic substance thousands of years old, still safe to eat. We are so accustomed to food rotting, molding, or decaying. It's an inevitable biological breakdown that we combat every single day in our own kitchens, right? We use refrigerators, preservatives, vacuum seals, the whole shebang. Yet this text bluntly states that an ancient pantry staple, sealed away in a tomb long before the invention of modern refrigeration, completely defies those fundamental rules of decay.
To truly grasp the sheer scale of this preservation, you have to picture the exact context of these discoveries. Remember, archaeologists aren't unearthing sealed, sterile, modern glass containers. No, these stashes of honey were found deep in antiquity, originating thousands of years in the past. They were kept in simple, ancient clay storage vessels, often left completely unattended in fluctuating underground environments. And yet the monumental payoff is that the contents remain perfectly safe to consume today. In fact, early excavators and modern researchers alike have reportedly tasted these ancient samples, finding them sweet, completely unharmed by time, and totally lacking any harmful bacteria. Just let that sink in for a second. Food from the age of antiquity, sitting in a porous clay pot, waiting all those millennia for someone to open it and take a taste without any harm whatsoever. Unreal.
Section 3. The food that never spoils.
And this brilliantly illustrates the absolute immortal nature of honey. It is uniquely defined as the food that never spoils. But why does this happen? Well, the secret behind this magic trick of nature comes down to a brilliant chemical makeup. You see, honey is incredibly low in moisture and highly acidic. When bees create honey, they literally flap their wings to dry out the nectar, which creates this incredibly inhospitable environment for bacteria and microorganisms. Basically, nothing can survive inside it to cause decay. So it's not that honey spoils slowly or that it only spoils under the wrong conditions. By its very chemical design, it never spoils. It stands completely apart from the natural life cycle of almost everything else we humans consume.
So the crucial point is this: honey never spoils. That is the foundational premise that just totally rewrites our understanding of organic matter. Whether it's sitting in a modern plastic squeeze bear on your kitchen counter or sealed in a ceramic pot deep within an ancient Egyptian tomb for 3,000 years, honey remains eternally edible. It completely shatters our standard understanding of shelf life, expiration dates, and the fragile nature of the food we grow and harvest. It's a perfect closed-loop system of preservation designed by nature, and it works flawlessly across the centuries.
So, next time you look in your pantry, will you see a simple ingredient or an ancient, immortal miracle? You aren't just looking at a simple sweetener for your morning tea anymore. You are looking at a masterclass in chemical engineering that can quite literally outlast civilizations. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. Keep asking questions, keep looking closely at the world around you, and as always, stay curious.